Pawn e2 to e4. Pawn e7 to e6. Pawn d2 to d4. Pawn d7 to d5. Knight b1 to d2. Knight g8 to f6. Pawn e4 to e5. Knight f6 to d7. Bishop f1 to d3. Pawn c7 to c5. Pawn c2 to c3. Knight b8 to c6. Knight g1 to e2. Pawn c5 takes d4. Pawn c3 takes d4. Knight d7 to b6. Castle kingside. Bishop f8 to e7. Pawn a2 to a3. Pawn f7 to f6. Pawn f2 to f4. Castle kingside. Queen d1 to c2. Pawn f6 to f5. Pawn b2 to b4. Bishop c8 to d7. Knight d2 to b3. King g8 to h8. Knight b3 to c5. Queen d8 to c8. Pawn g2 to g4. Pawn f5 takes g4. Bishop d3 takes h7. Pawn a7 to a6. Knight c5 takes d7. Knight b6 takes d7. Bishop h7 to g6. Knight d7 to b6. Pawn f4 to f5. Knight b6 to c4. Pawn h2 to h3. Pawn g4 takes h3. Queen c2 to d3. Pawn h3 to h2, check. King g1 takes h2. Bishop e7 to h4. Queen d3 to h3. King h8 to g8. Queen h3 takes h4. Rook f8 to f7. Bishop c1 to g5. Knight c6 to e7. Bishop g5 takes e7. Rook f7 takes e7. Queen h4 to h7, check. King g8 to f8. Queen h7 to h8, checkmate.